Alrighty. Let's get right into it, shall we? So, 11 lessons in, and you've stuck with me this far. I appreciate you very much. Now, what are we going to do for your coursework? What are you going to get people to do as far as the action steps that they can take along the journey in order to be able to serve people as they progress through that pathway, right? Year one, level one, two, and three. Year two, level one, two, and three. Level three, year one, level one, two, and three, right? So again, I said in your first year, it's all about learning. Second year, it's all about selling. Third year, it's all about mentorship and teaching. So, rotating through this 3-year pattern, you can create a 9-year framework that allows for a legacy transmission. All right, so what you can do in 9 years, you will be able to change and alter each and every one of those pathways. So, only the people that carry the work forward beyond your tier 1, 2, and 3 in your initial year 1 experiment, only the people that are committed to carrying that forward move with you into year 2. And the people that are committed in year 2, if they're not hooked on your stuff, you didn't enroll them right. But if they're doing your stuff, then you have the obligation to create year 3. And how do you create year 3? Well, you have to demonstrate what you've learned in year 2. You have to demonstrate what you've acquired as you're learning in year 3, and you have to be able to, or in your year 1. What did you learn in year 1? You have to go back and sell it in your year 2, so that way in your year 3 you can teach them new things, right? So it's, what is the journey that you're going to go on? What's the coursework that's going to be required of them, right? Do you want to have change over a single group or a single interaction? That's the best way to do it. And so the media engagement that you do as we go through this particular lesson, we're going to talk about infrastructure. What does the infrastructure of your thing look like? What is your course? What is your class? What is your lesson? What is the infrastructure that goes behind it? So one lesson with me creates part of a course, which creates part of a journey into mentorship, which is, if you take one lesson that you see online somewhere, and then you've got the course that you take, right? You're now a client, or you're now a customer, you've bought one thing. And now if you take a couple of courses, now you're a client because you're enrolled in several things. And if you spend years mentorship, you go into my higher services, then you've become an apprentice. You've become someone in that journey with me that I'll stand side by side as a link in a chain, so that way what we do together, we can do forever. So that way it's always progression, it's always developmental, so that way there's nobody left behind, there's nobody left out of the conversation unless they choose to leave themselves out because they're not engaging with this material in the right way. So creating that infrastructure around what you're doing and including that infrastructure in your lessons, talking about it as I have done, is imperative to show that there's a bigger purpose beyond just that lesson, just beyond that course, so that there's a higher application of it, so that you can use it in a better way. So that way it's not just a once-off piece of information, it's a repetitive information that people can go back to time and time again to change the way that they think about whatever it is that they have to think about, in order to get action on whatever they have to get action for, so that they use your course, they take that action, they create that change, they create the metamorphosis, and then they can go back and talk about it and sell that type of change to somebody else. So that way it creates those looping cycles that creates the wheel of interaction, right? Specifically, the ways that you can test all the business aspects, the ways that you can test all the spiritual aspects, and then you go onto other people's platforms, other people's Facebook groups, and you share what you've learned. You give them value for what you've gone through. You help with them with the resources that you know because you've put the years and the time and the efforts in, right? So this is how you begin to do that. And this is what gets you on track, so that way as you build out your engagement through your infrastructure, you're creating these things on purpose. So that way nobody gets left behind unless they choose to leave themselves behind because it's not in the right season. And that's okay. Being in the right season, providing those different offers, providing that different resource capacity, just because you have the asset, that's great. I might not need that asset today, but I might need it 10 weeks from now. I might need it next month. I might need to go back to all of the thousands of dollars that I've spent on all the different courses to learn the different nuanced structures, to learn who I want to communicate with in what way, so I can help them improve their course, right? So I can be a course creator with them. I can be a co-collaborator with them. They're not in competition with me. I'm not in competition with them. I'm in competition with no one. But I am in collaboration with everyone to be able to serve that my infrastructure methodologies help people on their journey. And that through that journey, better creations occur. So that no one gets lost in the weeds, that there is a journey, there is a reason why you structure your lessons in these ways to create this kind of change in your environment on purpose, so that way you serve what you need to serve, and you can serve it to the fullest with the people that you have in the time that you are serving. So, taking on physical leadership roles comes from seeking spiritual leadership roles. If I'm going to guide your spirit, I need to be able to guide your physical actions, right? I need to be able to teach you how to do business so that you can serve those, with those physical actions, other people, so that way I know my work has a flow through. So that way, as I channel my intangible connections to the divine, it extends through the hands of other men and women to be able to serve the communities. So that by their service to the communities, that action is demonstrated and the divine can connect directly to them. So I don't have to be part of the picture. They don't have to have me as an intermediary, but I am creating a legacy. I am creating a lineage. There is an engagement to the different intermediaries. There is an infrastructure that is built out, and it is robust. And it's this type of application that I'm demonstrating with this course, that I have been demonstrating with these other lessons. So that as you go through these things and you try to build out these kinds of journeys, you can build an engagement ratio that improves your community, that improves your communications, that it improves all of the different things that allows you to interact with these different alternatives while you're trying to create economic change, ecosystem change, environmental change, whatever you want to call it. You're creating change in the environment in accordance with your will. You're creating sorcery. You're creating a source of information to demonstrate creation. You're playing God in somebody's life by giving them the means to change their fate. Good. Be a good steward. Do not use this material to teach them bullshit. It has to be proven. It has to have a lineage. It has to be results oriented. It is not an intangible proof. It is a physical experience. You have experienced these things. You are experiencing these things, or you will experience these things as a result. No questions, without fail. Because I've done it. My friends have done it. My mentors have done it. The ones I've mentored have done it. This is not up for negotiation. This methodology works, and it works every single time. Can you say the same for your methodologies? That's the question. And if you can't, what are the engagement requirements that you have to shift in order to be able to apply these things to your community, to your lessons, to your teaching ability, so that way not only are you in congruency with what you have to offer and how you offer it, but the means and the operations that you have are in total alignment with the infrastructure that you're creating. So that way one business links to another business, links to another business, and there's no competition, but there is collaboration. And this is how you create an infrastructure of collaboration. Right? And you have to be able to teach how you create infrastructure. You have to be able to teach and talk about and demonstrate in action, in your work, in your activities, in your lessons, how these things are demonstrated. I've demonstrated it in action. I've done it with emails. I've shared it in Facebook community groups for years. Like all of my stuff, there's a paper trail as long as my arm for what I'm trying to create. So that way it's done in total congruency. Can you say the same thing about your product? Is everything on the table for your people so that they know who you are, what you serve, and how you serve? Right? We are all the children of the divine. We are all in service to creation. And we are creators of our own world. Right? But there's an infrastructure that you have to build in order to be able to create successfully. So you're not building on mud, you're building on granite. Right? You can't build Venice without having to hammer in that wood into the bedrock, into the sediment down below. So you have a foundation, you have a firmament, which you can elevate up. And it's this type of process that engagement of infrastructure allows you to create. And so building your lessons out in this way allows you to apply this principle directly. I'll see you next time.